Everybody says that they are afraid of failure, that they're afraid to fail. And that's sometimes why they don't even start. That's sometimes why they don't even try. But what if I told you that you're not actually afraid of failing? That's not your real fear. Your real fear is healing. Because once you heal, you gotta lose every excuse that you ever told yourself to stay comfortable. Fear of failure gives you a false sense of safety, but it also keeps you stuck. And it steals your peace, it steals your progress, and it steals your purpose. I know this firsthand because I've lived it. You know, I thought I was afraid of failing, but what I was really afraid of was healing. Because healing exposes you, it forces you to see the person in the mirror. And the truth is that many of us are actually afraid of who we'll have to become when we heal. But let me tell you this, when you heal, it changes everything. Healing forces you to release all the pain that you've been carrying, all the pain you've been hiding behind. It pushes you to step into the version of yourself that actually gets stuff done, okay? So in this video, I'm gonna show you how to rip the mask off and to finally face the healing that you've been avoiding so that you can step into a life where fear is no longer holding you hostage. If you are new here, my name is Amika Coleman. I am the founder of Strands of Faith, a purpose-driven beauty brand that brings joy to your textured hair. And I am a mental wellness advocate. And so today, I'm just gonna jump right into it because I really want you to understand that you're not afraid of failing. You're really afraid of healing. So one of the things when it comes to the fear of failure is the excuses that we give ourselves. And we give ourselves these excuses because we don't want to be exposed. And so you say that you're scared of failing because it feels safer, right? It gives you an excuse. And if you do fail, then you can blame it on that fear. Oh, I was just afraid and I didn't really put my all into it, so that's why I failed. Because really, if I would have put my all into it, I wouldn't have failed. But see how that's like making you fall short and making you hide because you are hiding behind that fear by saying that, oh, I didn't give it my all. And so what you're afraid of when it comes to giving it your all is the exposure that it brings. You're afraid of being seen because failure hides you. If you have a fear of failure, that means many times you're not gonna give it your all, you're not gonna start fully, and so it hides you. But when you heal, it exposes you. When you're exposed, you're just out there. And so that's why it's very difficult for people to face their wounds and to want to heal. It's like laying down at nighttime and you putting a blanket on you. That blanket is keeping you warm, right? But it's keeping you from moving. If you was to snap and snatch and rip that blanket off of you, now you're seen. Exposure is good because exposure helps you to heal. You gotta ask yourself, like, why am I trying to hide behind this thing? This wound that I'm protecting, why am I keeping this? What is it about this that I'm afraid of healing it? So give yourself permission to stop the excuses, to give up the excuses, and move towards healing. Because once you stop hiding behind the excuses, the next thing you're gonna realize is that the next trap is actually control. It's like it leads from one thing to another, because control is, you don't really fear failure, right? You fear not being in control. Healing means surrendering the timeline. You gotta surrender the outcome. You gotta surrender all the things you've been protecting, the image you've been protecting. The more we try to grip life and control life, the more it's gonna slip through our hands, and you cannot control life. If you've been living this long, then you will see by now that life is not something you have control over. It's like going to the beach and you have sand in your hand. The tighter you squeeze that sand, the faster it's gonna slip through. But if you open your hand and just let the sand relax, and so you have to surrender. That's what surrendering the sand is. It's saying, I can't have control of stopping you from flowing, so I'm gonna open my hand and surrender. You have to surrender to the things that you have been running from and face them head on, because control is an illusion. Control makes you think that you have control of things, but surrender is the solution. Surrender is when you say, okay, I don't have control. I realize I don't have control, so I surrender. So ask yourself, like, what is one thing you've been trying to have control over? And then say, God, I release what I can't control. I know that I can't control this, so I surrender. I surrender. Just sit with that for a few minutes in silence and really process what are the things that you've been trying to have control over that you don't really have control over, and let it go. Just surrender. Because the scariest part of healing is not letting go of the pain. It is letting go of the control. You can let go of the pain once you let go of the control. But letting go of the control is something that we have difficulty doing. We have to let it go. And then once you surrender it all, once you have the courage to surrender, you're going to find that the next thing you face is the wound that you have been avoiding. All the traumas, all the hurts, all the things that you've been avoiding versus confrontation. You don't want to confront it, right? Fear or failure keeps you busy avoiding the real issue at hand, the wounds that you don't want to face. But healing can't happen until you face it head on and confront it. You have to confront the things that are eating up at you inside, the things that nobody can see. You have to be the one to confront those things head on, because can't nobody else see it, right? It's like, being you're like going in your bathroom and finding out you're having a leaking pipe behind the wall. If that pipe is leaking water and you can see it through the drywall, if you go get a paintbrush and paint that wall and cover it up, if you decorate it, whatever it is you do to try to cover up the water stain on that wall, it's not going to stop the issue at hand, which is the leaking pipe. You got to get behind that wall, open that pipe up, and figure out what the issue is head on. You have to solve the issue head on, because if you don't, then guess what it leads to? Leaking water over time leads to mold, and that mold leads to sickness. And this all happens because you refuse to look at it head on and say, this is something that I need to address. And this all happens because you avoid direct confrontation of that wound. Healing does not happen in avoidance. You cannot avoid the thing for too long that's been holding you back. You have to tackle it head on and confront that thing. Confrontation is finally getting up and saying, okay, this has been bothering me, but I'm going to do what I got to do to make myself better, to heal myself. Take out a journal if you got to. Write down that one thing that has been eating you up, has been tearing you up. Write it down. Get it out your head. Don't edit it. Don't change any details about it. Write down all your feelings about how it's been making you feel, all the outcomes, whatever. Just write it down. Don't change anything about it. What happens is that once you write it down, guess what? You're no longer avoiding it. You're confronting it head on. That's an easy way to confront something, because now you're not allowing it to bottle up inside your brain and to make you sick and to make you reminisce on the past and to hurt you and to fester. You're getting it out your head, you're writing it down, and you're confronting it. And then from there, you can, pray and ask God to lead you to a path of healing for it. You don't have to stay stuck with that thing. And so stop avoiding the things that has happened in your life and the things that cause you pain and harm, and start confronting it heads on. Yes, confrontation is tough. Confrontation is something that we can all avoid at times, or we all try to avoid at times, because we don't like the feeling of it. But once you realize that confrontation is going to be the thing that leads you to your healing, you will be able to be a little bit more peace at it and say, okay, if this is going to be the outcome, healing for me, then I have to confront this thing head on. That just means that you're taking back your power. And that piece you have control over. You may not have control over everything else, but you do have control over and say, I choose to face this thing head on so that I can heal myself, so that I can live a more fulfilled life, so that I can move a little bit more freely. Don't allow those things to hold you back, right? So fear of failure that's in your head, we always say, we do this thing to where we say something that makes us feel comfortable. Oh, I'm afraid of failing, so I'm not gonna even stop. No, but the reality is you're afraid of healing, because once you heal, you don't have no more excuses. You just out there. So know this, whatever you refuse to face in life is always going to literally run your life. And we don't want that to happen. But once you confront things, then you're gonna also see that the real fear isn't failure. The fear is also in success. This is something that I talk about all the time. Success sounds good, but this is something that actually terrifies people, because when you become successful, it means more responsibility. It means you having to show up and be consistent, showing up as the healed version of yourself every day. This is what success looks like. Failure lets you hide behind all that stuff, but success forces you to show up as the real you. And sometimes that is scary for people. Think about like somebody who plays sports. And once they win a championship or something and they get this big trophy, right? It feels good in that moment. They're like, okay, I just won. I got this trophy. You know, I did the do. But in that moment, if you're not careful, you can also find yourself not being able to enjoy the moment because you're already thinking about what's next. You're like, dang, now how am I gonna live up to this? People are gonna be expecting me to win all the time. What if I drop the ball? And your mind is creating scenarios that don't yet exist, for one, but it's making you feel like the success that you have is short-lived if you don't continue it up. If, you know, continue producing the same thing. But you have to understand that there's phases and ebbs and flows to life. Just because you're successful in winning in one season does not mean that it's gonna continue on, right? This success in itself is warranted. If you have a down period and then there's a lag before your next version of success, that's still success. It don't mean that you have fallen off. Like, it's all a part of your life journey. It's all a part of the plan. And so fear of failure is not really a fear of failure. Sometimes it is a fear of success, but you have to change your mindset to say, okay, if I succeeded in this season, I'm successful, period. Don't allow society and what other people's version of success is mess you up. This is why you also have to create your own version of success. What does success mean to you? And you have to sit in that. So you have to tell yourself, you got to say this out loud: I am not afraid of success. I am prepared for it. And you have to repeat that thing over and over until it feels real. Failure is familiar, right? Because you're familiar with failing, but success requires your healing. It requires you to heal. So I hope this helped you to see that your fear of failure was never fear of failure. It was actually fear of healing. And once you heal, then you will have nothing else left to hide behind, right? You are exposed, you are seen, but you're free. And that's the beautiful thing about it. And so don't hold yourself back from healing. Confront the things head on that has been holding you back so that you can step into the world with so much confidence. So stop letting fear wear the mask of failure, because fear loses its grip the moment that you act and the moment that you say, I choose to be healed. Keep the faith. Bet on you, because God already did.